I hope your seatbelt is fastened because this is a gross case. Hi, my name is Ethan and here's everything you need to know in under 1 minute. Fen Men Yi was a 23-year-old girl who was a hostess at a nightclub and she had been struggling with addiction. In early 1997, Fen Men Yi met Chen Men Lok at the nightclub where she worked. It was later determined that Chen Men Lok had money to help Fen Men Yi's addiction problems. One night, she took his wallet and stole $4,000 cash. As soon as he noticed his cash was gone, he enlisted 2 of his henchmen to take Fen Men Yi. They successfully kidnapped her, and for a month they beat her, set her on fire, and forced her to eat her own feces. Unfortunately, she eventually succumbed to her wounds, and the 3 men were arrested and sentenced to life in prison. One crazy fact about this case is they even had a 14-year-old girl help participate in beating Fen Men.
If you're Latino, you've definitely heard of El Cucuy. And for those who don't know, El Cucuy is basically the Latin American version of the boogeyman. For decades, Latin parents have been using the tale of El Cucuy to scare their children into going to bed or to scare their children into behaving well. It's often said that if you don't listen to your parents, El Cucuy is going to come take you in the middle of the night. As for the appearance of El Cucuy, he's said to have razor-sharp teeth like a barracuda, and he's also said to be a cross between a goblin-like creature and a human. But what most people don't know is that the story of El Cucuy actually goes back to Europe. We actually have to go back in time to 1910 in Spain to fully understand where the story came from. It's there where we meet a man named Francisco Ortega who had recently been diagnosed with tuberculosis. Desperate for a cure to his disease, he went to several healers to see if they could do anything for him. That's where they told him that he needed the blood of a child in order to heal himself. And so the healers set off to find a child in order to sacrifice. Once they had found a suitable child, they unalived him and then proceeded to give Francisco the child's blood in order for him to drink it. However, there's also another version of the story that goes back to the 15th century. And the story goes that there was a man that would go around collecting unwanted babies or even stealing them. He would then proceed to take the children to the orphanages, but it's also said that for the most part, many of these children would pass away before making it there.
What is living in the Paris catacombs? Did you know that the remains of 6 million people are buried beneath Paris? The Holy Innocents Cemetery in Paris was built in the 12th century, but by the 1700s, it was full and the country needed a place to bury its dead. The bodies were exhumed and moved to the old mining tunnels underneath Paris. The catacombs are 200 miles of old tunnels that Paris was built on top of. Eventually, the bones were organized into elaborate structures and decorative features inside the tunnels. However, many people say that you can hear voices echoing about the tunnels at night. But what's more interesting is that the police stumbled upon a full cinema and bar inside the tunnels. But when they came back the next day, everything had vanished. They only found a note left behind that read, "Do not try to find us." That is why many people wonder about.
This is a photo that was found on the ground outside of a convenience store in Florida in June 15th of 1989. And that picture to this day has still gone unidentified. They said that this is not your daughter. They did some type of forensic examination of the photo and they came to the conclusion that that was not her daughter. The boy in the photo was thought to be this kid named Michael Henley who went missing also in 1988, which was a year before. And if you look at these pictures side by side, you can see where the similarities come in. But once again, the cop said that's not him. What's crazy is that neither Michael nor Sarah have ever been found, and that picture to this day has still gone unidentified. It has never been identified. Almost 40 years later.
There's a very famous painting that shows what appears to be men in crafts flying through the sky.
Throughout history, there are these indications of craft.
But you know what I'm talking about? Like, look how incredible. It's like a plate turned on its side, and then there's a person inside of it.
Above her left shoulder, there is an object, and if you really zoom in, look at the dude staring up at it, and everything is intentional.
Like here you got Christ being crucified, and then above him, UFOs. That is so strange.
monster stalking the town of Minerva, Ohio. Meet the Ohio Grassman. These Bigfoot-type creatures are described as being 7 to 10 feet tall, around 300 pounds, and were said to be covered in dark, matted hair. One day in August 1978, local residents Evelyn and Howie Clayton found their German Shepherd lifeless outside their home. Its neck was snapped by something large and powerful. Days later, their grandchildren were over playing outside when they suddenly saw this monstrous creature in a nearby gravel pit digging through some trash. The children were terrified, so they ran inside screaming. Evelyn and Howie then decided to run out and see what the commotion was all about. When they got outside, they too saw what the kids had described. Now, the Claytons would continue to deal with this beast, and some nights it would even come up to the house and peer in through their kitchen window. They would even occasionally see more of these creatures as they drove around Minerva, some of them in groups of 2 hanging around a local strip mine. When the local police were finally called in, all they could find around the Claytons' property were large, faint footprints in the dirt and a terrible smell that lingered in the air. The Claytons, however, weren't the first to have had run-ins with these cryptids. Native American legends from Ohio, dating back hundreds of years, spoke of bipedal ape men that they called the wild ones of the woods. The natives would leave offerings to these creatures to keep the peace. And these stories are why some people think
there's a horror movie that centers around these animatronic characters coming to life at night, and it's called Willy's Wonderland. Let me tell you a bit about it. It follows the story of this guy whose car gets broken down on the side of the road, right? In this really tiny small town, they don't have any ATMs, no Wi-Fi, nothing like that, and he can't pay with a credit card. So they're like, I'll tell you what, if you can clean up this abandoned family entertainment place overnight, we'll fix your car for free. The dude is Nicolas Cage, by the way, and he doesn't have many options, so fine, he's gonna clean the place overnight. But the lore of the place is that many, many years ago, when it was originally opened, all of the guys who worked here were like child murderers, and they would off children and their families in the middle of their birthday parties at this place. Eventually, the police caught on, and when they came to arrest them at Willy's Wonderland, all of the serial killers had had a satanic ritual suicide, so now their spirits have possessed the animatronics, and it's amazing. There's also a prequel comic series to this movie. Nicolas Cage slays in this movie. Nicolas Cage in horror movies is honestly top tier. Love this for him.
Are there aliens in this Arctic lake? Back in 1994, enormous pieces of the comet Shoemaker Levy 9 plummeted to Earth, crashing onto the surface of the Arctic, creating a lake about a quarter-mile wide. Now, meteors crashing onto the surface of the Earth is not uncommon, but you see, as the years went along, this lake got progressively deeper and deeper, as if something was making its way towards the core of the Earth. Over the course of the years, scientists have tried to locate the cause of the deepening, but each time, the equipment sent would return damaged beyond measure, with nothing captured as if there was something in the lake causing it. Divers who have been brave enough to venture down in the name of science have often returned emotionally drained, saying that they see a spiraling green light that sucks them in. Even though the lake now has a depth of over 9 miles, the deepening of the lake does not seem to slow down.
What would you do if you saw this climbing on your roof?
I ordered a PS5 from the dark web. Let's see what we got. Let's spoon this box open. Okay, this doesn't look like a PS5. Why are these controllers gray? I don't think this is a PS5. Is this a PS5? Does this even work? I knew I should have ordered an Xbox. It doesn't even open. PS5 from Wish Station 5.
A man and his family were forced out of their home one night by this. The user Smug Puppy explains that him and his daughter have been tormented by an entity in their home for over 20 years now. But one night as they're coming back home, they notice someone or something inside their home looking at them from the window.
Top window. Yes. Bottom window. Bottom window. What the hell is it face look like? Oh, man, it disappeared. Top window. Right.
Oh my god.
The hell is? Can we zoom in on this?
Oh, come on.
Bottom window. What the hell is going on?
Just going through the floor or something.
Russia might have just nuked Ukraine. Apparently this was an explosion at an ammunition depot in Pavlodar, Ukraine. Additionally, 19 high-rise buildings and 25 private homes, 6 schools and a preschool were, quote, mutilated in the Russian attack. Reports say this plant was used for missile fuel and other highly volatile explosive things. But some are implying it could be a nuclear attack. What has people scratching their head though is that if this was actually a nuke, how would people be taking videos of it when the whole place would be destroyed? Well, that's because it could have been a small tactical nuke. Just watch the video one more time and tell me this explosive does not move quick and scary. It couldn't have been a normal explosion.
So it's called kukatashi. In this ritual, all the people that would commit something would plead their innocence to like the gods. They would have a boiling water pot in front of them, and the people who were innocent, they would dip their hands in. They wouldn't feel anything. That's how they try to like
see who's evil.
The guilty, if they put their hands in, they would actually get scalded like 3rd-degree burns. The only way to eliminate that ghost in this guy's house, a shaman told him, boil hot water and throw it. You can hear the ghost scream in this video. You see the water, right?
Yeah.
He goes outside.
That's the noise? Sounds like a Minecraft zombie, bro.
I'm telling you, like, if we ever go to Japan, now that I know all this stuff, I would have loved to go to Japan, but now it's like iffy because like I know a bunch of this.
Nah, Asia in general. I know Indonesia has some crazy ones.
Yeah.
Philippines obviously has some crazy ones. Thailand has some crazy ones, bro. I think it's just so much lore.
In the summer of 2006, the boardwalk in Atlantic City was bustling with tourists eager to soak up the sun and indulge in the city's many attractions. But little did they know, a serial killer was on the loose, preying on young women who wandered away from the crowds. The killer's identity was unknown, but his method was chillingly consistent. He would lure his victims away from the boardwalk, strangle them, and dump their bodies in remote areas. Each victim was found with a playing card placed on her body, a twisted signature that earned him the moniker the Atlantic City serial killer. Despite a massive manhunt and countless leads, the killer remained at large, striking again and again over the next several months. Fear gripped the city as residents and visitors alike wondered who would be next. It wasn't until a young woman managed to escape from the killer's grasp that he was finally caught. The woman provided a detailed description of her attacker, and the suspect was soon identified and arrested. Tommy Lynn Sells was ultimately convicted of 3 murders in Atlantic City and sentenced to life in prison.
A person heard strange noises coming from the back alleyway behind their house. When they went to investigate, they realized that the noises were actually moans. As they got closer and closer, the moans grew louder. But when they peeked over the fence, they realized that there was nobody there. However, the moans continued, so they grabbed a pot of boiling water and aimed for the disembodied voice. This is what happened. If you look closely, you can see a faint humanoid figure revealed by the steam. Could this be a real ghost or a clever hoax designed off camera? Let me know in the comments.
Morbid Facts, Part 32. This is a photo of Princess Diana consoling Elton John at the funeral of Gianni Versace in 1997. Just over a month later, Diana would die in a car accident and Elton would end up performing at her funeral. Morticians often use these spiky contacts to keep the eyes of the dead closed during funeral viewings. Refrigerator doors are only magnetic because kids used to die inside of them. Before the Refrigerator Safety Act of 1956, the door could only be opened from the handle on the outside, which resulted in the deaths of many children who found abandoned refrigerators and got trapped inside of them while playing hide and seek. The lowest form of accommodation in Victorian England was a place where you could dangle over a rope overnight for the price of a penny. Apparently it was safer than sleeping on the ground and dealing with rats. For centuries, the feet of Chinese women were tightly bound from a young age as part of a traditional custom, causing the breaking and bending of the bones of the toe. This resulted in extremely disfigured feet that resembled the hooves of animals.
Recorded in Peru when two friends decided to explore a supposedly haunted school at nighttime, along with their dog Shakira. At first, not much happens as they walk through the premises, but then things quickly take a turn for the worst. What they captured is absolutely horrifying. Watch closely.
A su casa, tanto se demora mi viejo y mi vieja. Tamarias. Han salido, no llega a casa.
Limpiar acá adentro y no.
Pero rato, peón, tenemos que limpiar, causa. Yo estoy solo acá, que chucha. ¿Quién me va a ayudar? No sea huevón, pe. Acá van a quedarnos grabando, weón. Ay, ay, que está batería. Vaya, va. Horrible. Shakira, ven, Shakira.
Vamos a levantar con esto.
Ven, Shakira. Oye, ahora, huevón, mira.
¿Qué?
Se prendió la luz, huevón. Lucho, no seas huevón, no.
Tira ese mierda,
Ya vi, huevón, no seas tarado. Oyara, Lucho, no. Oh, concha tu madre. La dos, huevón. Oh. No, qué chivolo, huevón, vamos a ver. No seas huevón, no. No seas huevón, no.
Sara.
Oyara, oh.
Puta madre, no voy a ver yo.
Oh, vamos a ver, mierda.
Ah, puta, no seas huevón.
Oh, concha tu madre, se abrió la puerta, huevón. Oh, ya no. Oh, huevón, corre. ¿Qué chucha? ¿Qué fue eso? Oh. Corre, huevón, corre. Oh, Yara. Oh, corre. Oh, no está huevón, no, qué chucha. Oh, ya. Oh, corre, huevón, corre. Oh.
Uy, la silla.
Oh, Lucho, me dio miedo. Oh, no prende la luz. Oh, Lucho, ven, corre. Corre, mierda. Oh, Lucho. Corre, Lucho de mierda.
Vamos ya, huevón, tienes que ir con mierda. ¡La madre!
¡Oh, concha tu madre! ¡Oh, Lucho, corre, concha tu madre!
¿Dónde vamos?
¡Oh, concha tu madre! ¡Corre para abajo! ¡Corre para abajo, huevón! ¡Corre, concha tu madre! ¡Oh, Lucho, no sea huevón, Lucho! ¡Ay, Lucho! ¡Lucho, no! ¡Lucho! ¡Lucho, corre! ¡Corre a mi casa, huevón! ¡Métete a mi casa! ¡Puta madre, está cerrado, huevón!
First, the lights in some of the rooms start to flicker by themselves, and then doors start to open. And just mere moments later, chairs randomly start to come flying out of the rooms, causing the boys to panic and run around looking for a way to escape. Most of the people in the comments believe that this is real and the place has a dark history. But let me know what you think.
뭐야? 뭐야?
보세요. 보세요. 여보세요?
네, 경찰입니다.
좀 신고 좀 하려고요.
네, 말씀하세요.
잠시만요.